So welcome to Team DataFam Tableau User Group meeting number 4. The idea behind this tug, the Team DataFam tug, is that it's built around the presenter and not the audience. So we have meetings when the presenters are available for as long as the presenters want to be available for. And it's basically so people can reach a wider audience. So we're going to have some presentations after TC25 of non-recorded TC25 sessions. And tonight we don't have a TC25 session, which is just as good. And it's just getting more information out to everyone who uses Tableau and everyone who wants to actually learn more about Tableau. If you want to have a presentation for yourself, or if you've got some content you want to present, if you've got any questions, please email me at that email you see on your screen now, which is team.datafam@gmail.com. Today we have Purab talking about interactive data exploration with Tableau parameters. So Purab's been using Tableau for, I don't know, I would say 10 years, probably as long as me, and does a whole heap of really good stuff in Tableau. Sorry, you want to cut in there and say something? That's fine.
No, yeah, it's more than 10 years now, yeah.
Yep. So that's what we're going to look at is Tableau parameters, and I'll switch it over to you and then we'll do some stuff at the end as well.
Cool. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. First of all, I'm really glad that this is a it's a virtual session. The last year, or I think the year before that, I presented once before a live audience. The session went well, but after the session ended, I found out to my horror that my pants zip was open all along. So good that I don't have to worry about it today. Today's presentation is about a use case, a fascinating use case that we came across, and I used Tableau parameters to create dynamic and flexible dashboards to handle the use case. So that's what the session is about. I'll just hide this part. So I'm using the Tableau story to present it. So before we get into the use case, a bit about myself. So in case you're wondering what my names or strange name stands for, it's Purab, which stands for the direction east in Hindi, and that's how it's spelled in Hindi. My parents had this grand idea of having 4 kids to rule 4 directions, all the 4 cardinal directions, but they quickly gave up after 2 kids, so that's about that. What I am is a data visualization specialist and an enabler. So I love making data useful and attractive. And that's what gives the greatest gratification. I also love to help out in the user community. I have managed the Center of Excellence in an organization as well to help the user community build dashboards, fix their dashboards, what should be the strategy and all that. So that was a pretty exciting time. I have about 2 decades worth of experience. And yeah, I'm not old yet, I hope. A fun fact about me is other than data, I love to sleep. And I have the superpower or a God gift that I can fall asleep in 30 seconds flat any time of the day. But now that you know about it, please don't jinx it. These are certain certifications that have helped me, my work and my confidence, like having associate server was really good and certified professional. You can also see that I have managed to infiltrate the enemy camp as well, the Power BI certification. So that's about me. Let's jump into the use case that we try to solve here. So just to give you the context behind what was the use case that we tried to solve here is some time back, I was working with a major pharmaceutical company, and we were tasked to create these dashboards for the medical representatives that go out to the doctors and pitch for the medicines that the company makes. We had to kind of create these dashboards for around 1,200 reps. which they'll be using in their doctor visit. The brief that we got was the reps should be able to slice and dice these metrics any which way want, and they explore it before they kind of choose which are the metrics to present to the doctor, because they always wanted to say a good story. They also wanted to customize the dashboard that suits the individual doctors, because they know best what will work. So it was not a canned report or a report that would work for everyone. So that's why our requirement was to create something which was very flexible and can be customized for each user. We also had the use requirement that it would be printable for offline use, because there were places which didn't have great internet connectivity. So they wanted this option as well, that they can print it. We have these dashboards we love to create interactivity into it, but for their use case, they wanted it to be printable as well. The other requirement was the dashboard should fit the iPad's screen. The company had provided each rep iPad, and that's why that was a requirement, that we have to fit our dashboards in that form factor. The other piece was because the reps had to kind of run for the appointments with the doctors, and God knows what they have to deal with. So they wanted the dashboards, not too many dashboards to click around. So they wanted the maximum of 3 dashboards for easy navigation. And they wanted all this flexibility at the same time. They didn't need the number of dashboards to increase. So that was the kind of brief that was given to us. And I found using Tableau parameters, it gave us this magical flexibility to meet the requirements in this case. So unfortunately, I can't show those dashboards. So what I have done is I have used Superstore data to kind of showcase that what kind of flexibility we offer to the users. And that's what I'll be presenting. So we'll jump into the dashboards now. The first one is an exploration dashboard. So you can see there are tons of parameters. So you'll expect tons of parameters here. So first thing is we can choose any kind of measure here. So if we are choosing sales, profit, quantity, orders, number of customers, days to ship. Say, for example, I change it to sales, and the dashboard now becomes about sales. We have 2 different time series. I'm just using the ones in the Superstore data. So you can kind of use either an order date or a ship date. And you can kind of peg it to a certain date that you want to choose for your analysis, and do the analysis according to that time. So that will be your reference. So you can see here, once we have these, you'll have a big number here, sales by last month. Again, we wanted them to have this ability to compare their numbers with something in the past. It can be last week, last month, last year. So you can select a time frame. So you can compare it with the figures last week or last month, last quarter, or year to date. So let's say we go by last week now. You can see it's sales last week. And again, when you choose last week, we also wanted to give them something a week, let's say this week compared to the prior last week, or the same period last year. So we wanted to give them all this flexibility where they can slice and dice a certain measure by different time series and compare it with different time frames. So if I compare it, let's say last period, you can see it's sales last week. That's the number. It has decreased. And this was the figure last week, the prior week. At the same time, we also wanted to give them an option to slice it by different dimensions. So this is all indicative because I'm using the Superstore data. So you can give them different options to, let's say, slice it by a region, and they will have their numbers to understand their metrics better. Next, we moved into more of a time series kind of a comparison, where you can choose what frequency you want your data by. So let's say weekly. And we wanted to give them a moving average. At the same time, the moving average can be changed. So instead of 3 weeks, let's say we go to 5 weeks, it will be much smoother curve. So you can see here the profits and the moving average axis here. And we wanted to give them the flexibility of choosing whatever frequency they want and whatever period for their moving averages. So that was the time series bit. And then we used a heat map here so that we can use two different dimensions, and they can choose whatever measure. So measure is constant because we chose that at the top, which was sales. And we wanted to slice it by category and segment. You can choose whatever you need on your rows. So if I make it state, I think it'll become very busy. So let's put it to region, which is just 4 of them. And you can set it by segment, or let's say categories. And you can see these numbers, and so that they can understand their metrics better. The last one that we offered here was more of a scatter plot, where we can encode both x-axis, y-axis using two different measures, and a third measure on the bubble size. So what we can use, let's say, is number of orders, quantity, and let's say sales here. So basically, so that they can understand their data much better using the scatter plot. So this is what we offered from an exploratory perspective. So once they were happy with what they want to present and they understand their data much better, we moved into creating another dashboard, which is the KPI dashboard. So you can see it's a very easy and presentable one. The form factor here was for the iPads, because this is the one the reps would present to their doctors. So what we offered is we kind of use the collapsible container here, so that you can choose what date you want to peg it by, the time series, the time frames, the comparison ones, so the ones that you saw all earlier in the exploratory ones, they're all available here. At the same time, the frequency, because you have a time series here, and then the flexibility to choose whatever metric they want, because it's a kind of a 3 into 2, so there are 6 metrics that you can present here, or KPIs. So you can have metric for the top left corner. So if I change this to, let's say, customers, you can see it's now by customers. The next one, if I want to change to orders. So basically, each of the reps can choose whatever metrics they want to present to the doctor, and the doctor won't even know about it, that all of this is available and it's now hidden. So when they print this, the filters will not be shown on the print on the paper. It's all hidden, and this kind of gave the reps the flexibility to after their exploration is done, to choose whatever metrics they want in whatever order they want, and present it to the doctors. The third one that we had are certain spares, which is, again, this is a bit more busy. So you can find here a line chart with multiple lines here. So you can have whatever measure you want to choose. You have a select time series, frequency, and a different dimension. So if I go by region, you'll find 4 lines coming up and analyze it. This one was for more specific analysis, and we know that everyone loves tables, but it's possible that the tables can be really big and wide. So what we offered them is, let us help you create this highlight column and highlight rows, and then you can know that it's more like a kind of a crosshair if you want. So you can choose, for example, south here, And if I want to focus on, let's say, binders, then you kind of easily find out binders here and the south, and it's kind of a crosshair where you can figure out what the numbers are. So the color is used mostly for to drive the visual to see that, like, where the data is. The last one is even a more busier bit. What we are using is multiple kind of dimensions in both rows and columns. And you can kind of select here, like outer row and inner row, and outer column and inner column, what do you want to use. So if I go to region, for example, and I want to go to segment, so you can see here regions and different segments. And in the columns, let's say I go to category and the subcategories, it will just become a bit busy here. But then we just wanted them to have this flexibility to slice and dice the data whichever way they wanted. So these are certain dashboards that we kind of built for them. Again, we kept it to 3 dashboards, at the same time gave them plenty of flexibility to choose any metric and kind of do time series analysis, a scatter plot analysis, a bar chart analysis, and the KPI one that is more presentable for their doctors. Now with this metrics, I think while this was a very specific use case, I wanted to present this because it can give ideas for the use case that someone can come across. At least for me, ever since this project, I have included the similar exploratory dashboards in most of my dashboards, even if it was not part of the requirement. So it's, for me, it's the fun part. At the same time, I was like delighted to see that the users also loved it. Even if they didn't ask for it, once it was presented, they kind of felt more in control of the narrative they can talk about or present to their customers and clients. Again, from a development point of view, the fun part aside, I was able to pack in a lot of layers into the dashboard without cluttering them. That's why it kind of reduced my time to development, and even the maintenance becomes easier after that. So those were the things that I think was help both the users and the developers. So that's why parameters are kind of my favorites. It gives that all that flexibility to do the what if analysis, and in this case, empowers the end user to play a lot with the dashboard. That said, if you kind of liked these parameters, these are certain resources which were helpful to figure out certain interesting use cases where they're in the community that helped me as well. So you can check it out. The one that I'm presenting here, you can easily download from my public profile as well. So yeah, so I think that's about it. We are good to take any questions or things, any thoughts?
I'm just waiting for people to either type in the chat or in the Q&A, or we can get back to questions in a minute as well.
Yeah, no worries. I think
awesome.
It was
that's pretty cool. I can see a lot of people using that.
Awesome. While the virtual ones are very good flexibility wise, it's hard to figure out, see any faces and get that is it landing or not landing, and where am I going?
So Sarah's just saying, what are some of the key must-dos when building this out?
The must-dos is don't get too overboard and clutter the dashboard, because you can just that we can do something doesn't mean we should be doing something. So again, keep it simple, but at the same time, build this flexibilities into it. So all the complexity is at the back end, but not for the user.
Yeah. And again, it was a nice use of white space, so you can actually you've got space to look at things as well.
Yeah. Then again, because they were using the iPad, there's not much room that you can play with as well. So hover and click is the same in iPad. If you're using a desktop, hover and clicks are different. So you have to keep that in mind too.
And Sarah just said again, I find parameter actions can get tricky. What tips do you have there?
Yeah, so with the interactivity part, I find a lot of users, even if we can create so many actions, dashboard actions, I love the actions while developing it, but I haven't found that much of attraction with users. Users sometimes, I sometimes get a requirement saying that there should not be any clicks included in the dashboard because either sometimes they are printing it out, or once they click somewhere, they don't know how to unclick and go back. They don't know what to do with it. So parameter actions are one of my favorites. You can layer so many things into it, but just be mindful of the audience. If your audience is savvy enough for that, then go for it. If not, the parameters that we used here, which are more like filter kind of things or drop downs, that's much more easier for users to use.
And obviously, if you're heading for a printed output, then you can still see those settings as well. So they're built into the titles, but you can see the drop downs there as well.
True.
And Efrina's question is, how do you measure if your metrics are not too complicated and redundant for users?
Yeah, so when we came across the dashboards that we built for the reps, right? So we had to sit together and decide that we had to kind of put a framework around what are the metrics they can use. And because it was 1,200 users in this case, we had to have lots of iterative interviews with some of them to understand that what their use case would be and put a list of them. We limited it to like 10 metrics that they can play around with. Otherwise, it will get too confusing. It was a hard debate to win, because there was always a requirement that what if we can do this and all. But yeah, 10 is kind of the good number, which helped.
Awesome. That looks like, oh no, there's another question. Sorry, I might have actually missed that. So John said before, great job. On the data entry parameter, did the real dashboard use the Tableau date picker, or does the user type the date into the right text format? Did you explore the graphical date picker, and what are your thoughts about that?
I used the date picker because with the calendar one, I think it was the exploratory one, which you're talking about. So you get this date picker, the calendar automatically. So instead of typing it, they can always type it, but this one felt much more easier for them. Intuitive.
Now the worst thing is we can't see what you're doing because you haven't shared your full screen. But it's the normal Tableau date picker because the parameter is set to a date data type rather than the string data type. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did stop sharing it. That's why it doesn't show up. Okay.
You've got to share your entire screen rather than just Tableau, I think.
Okay. Okay.
That's cool. Not a problem. But yeah, you're using the default date picker from Tableau anyway. Easy. That's cool. Doesn't look like there's anyone else, but we can sort of have a live Q&A at the end. Okay, so there's all Purab's details if you want to get in touch. LinkedIn, X, Tableau Public, or his website. All those are good places to get in touch. I think it's the same as a lot of people's names. If you spell the name properly, you can find the person. If you can't spell the name properly, it's pretty hard to find. So that's okay. And we've had some Q&A, but I think with this level of audience, I'll unmute everyone at the end and we can just talk rather than typing questions, but all the questions are good as well. Remember that next week, it's probably a little bit too late to book travel and accommodation with San Diego, but you can if you want and go to San Diego for a few days for Tableau conference. or if you register online and do the online option, it's free. There'll be some sessions being telecast on there during the time. I haven't actually checked. I think Keynote is about 3 a.m. in the morning Sydney time, and adjust your clocks wherever you are in the world with that. But hopefully a whole heap of good information coming out of TC as well. Okay, fast five. So Purab doesn't know what I'm going to ask, but 5 questions. They're quick questions. They're supposed to be quick answers. Are you ready?
Yep.
First question. What's your favorite chart type to use in Tableau and why?
I like bar chart because it's very versatile.
Yep. Awesome. What's the most fun dashboard you've ever built?
The one that I presented, which was the parameters one.
Yep, perfect. And what is the most underrated feature in Tableau?
The underrated ones are the containers. Containers make our life so easy. And when you venture out of Tableau into any other products, you'll know that what you're missing. But containers is something which I use.
That's cool. Most people hate containers, but I'm probably the same way. If you understand how they work, they're really cool.
Yeah.
What's the one thing you wish Tableau would do better?
The one thing that I think the Tableau will do, it's really good at so many things. I would have liked the Tableau prep, which is very visual. You kind of click, drag things and check. Because I've used Alteryx as well, where you have this browse option. So you can only see the data when you want to see it. With Tableau, because it has made it easier for the users to check the data each and every time, but it kind of is hard on the RAM if the data is huge. So I would have liked to have a kind of a browse thing. I want to check it when I want to check it rather than every time.
Run all the time. Yep. And the last question, what's your favorite Tableau function or calculated field trick?
My favorite ones are LODs. I just jump onto LODs anytime, and the table calculations. I also play around with the quick table calculations and then modify those instead of me thinking about how do I construct my measure. I use the quick table calculations and then edit it later.
Yep. Cool. Awesome. Thank you. That was 5. That was pretty good. So the next TUG meeting, we've got to wait a while for this, but Designing Efficient Workbooks 101 by Ojo, he's actually presenting this at TC25, and he'll be at the TUG on those dates. Obviously, it's all the same date. I've just given you around the world. So 9 a.m. in Sydney, 1 a.m. in Europe, depending on where you are in the world as to if you can actually join this TUG meeting live or not. There will always be a recording of that as well. All the recordings are on YouTube, the same as every other TUG that actually submits their recordings through. So you can see all the TUG recordings on YouTube, at Team DataFam, Spotify and Apple for the audio podcast, or email me if you've got any questions, or if you're a presenter that wants to actually present. It's pretty easy to get on, and we can find a time slot for you. It's simple just to present what you want to talk about in Tableau. So thank you, Purab, for coming. I actually learned from that as well, so it was pretty awesome. It's actually good to see how everyone uses Tableau differently. And for those of you who are still on, I'm just going to go through and make everyone a presenter so you can unmute and chat if you need to as well. But thank you for your time. That was awesome.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for making this happen as well. It's really great that I don't have to move out of my house and get presented. I love the flexibility.
Well, that's just like virtual meetings are sort of really good because it's just, you can just, it's not running around between meeting rooms, finding the meeting room all the time now. Okay. Oh, and I made everyone presenters and everyone logged off. Okay. So Viraj and Efrina, if you're still there, you can unmute and talk as well. Viraj, what did you think?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. It was a wonderful presentation, Purab. So I just want one question. Like when you had this exploratory um, dashboard built, and then you probably moved on to a more finer or a more to the point dashboard. So that exploratory dashboard, how did it help in probably you know completing the or maybe understanding the whole business requirement more efficiently?
Yeah, for me, it was, anyways, we spent a lot of time with the data to understand it. But then I kind of, after this project, right, I start putting this exploratory dashboard as a third option. So we usually have this canned report, which is whatever has been asked for, and the dashboard is answering those big questions. And then we always have this detailed one, which is line item wise. They want to jump into what happened at a certain line. So exploratory kind of falls somewhere in between. And I found this for the users to be very flexible to play around. They can change something, dimensions and measures and the time frames, frequencies. So it gives them so many different options to handle any ad hoc questions. Um, and I can find them being more playful about it rather than, okay, this is the data I just have to do, just have to use and I'm stuck with it. So that's where I kind of find the users having the benefit of the exploratory dashboards.
Great, that's nice. Thank you.
You could also, I'm guessing on that URL, because they're parameters, you can type in all the values as well. So a user's not going to do this, but you could send it out to every different sales rep or doctor, as you were saying, and basically customize their dashboard for them, because there's only one dashboard, but you can make up all the different combinations of the URL.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Lots of possibilities there, obviously.
Yeah. I love the possibilities.
Yeah.
And that's the good thing about parameters, there are, it
Yes.
does gives you a lot of possibilities.
Yes. Yeah. And then sometimes when I work with Power BI, I kind of cringe because it's not there. There are certain parameters like field parameters which they have recently gotten, but you can't use that in a calculation. So yeah, can't do that.
Tableau's
Tableau
still
1
better.
power by 0.
Sure.
Awesome. There's some stuff in the chat. It's more just. So Efrina's saying, can I ask you for the links for the parameters, the parameter source? So yeah, I'll get those links from Purab and we can put them up in the probably on the YouTube video as well, so that you can actually have that as part of the content.
Yeah, this one I have uploaded into the Tableau public as well,
Yep.
so you can download it and reverse engineer whichever part they want. They can just use it.
Yeah, it's good it's built on Superstore because it's just so easy as well.
Yeah.
Great.
Awesome.
Thank you. It was a
Right.
great time. Yeah.
Thanks for
Take
joining.
care.
Cheers.
No worries. Thanks, Faraj. Okay, that's it. It's down to you and me. Thank you for your time. That was awesome.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, talk to you soon. See ya.
Cheers.
Bye.